Hey there. Ever thought winning the lottery would be the ultimate happiness jackpot? Well, guess what? Sometimes that jackpot turns out to be more of a booby trap. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fascinating world of happiness as we explore the book Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. It's like a treasure map, but instead of leading us to gold, it guides us through the maze of our minds to unearth the real gems of happiness. And trust me, the journey is full of surprises. So who's this Daniel Gilbert guy? Imagine a detective, but instead of solving crimes, he's solving the mystery of happiness. Gilbert, a Harvard psychology professor, spent years peering into the weird and wonderful ways our brains work, especially when it comes to happiness. His book is like a backstage pass to the concert of our minds, revealing how we often misjudge what will make us happy. Spoiler alert. It's not always what we think. Let's kick things off with a story that's almost too crazy to be true. Picture this, a lottery winner who's just hit the big time. You'd expect them to be over the moon, right? Dancing in the streets, throwing confetti, the whole 9 yards. But here's the twist. Many of these lucky winners end up feeling more blue than before their windfall. It's like they've won a golden ticket to a chocolate factory, only to find out they're allergic to chocolate. Mind-boggling, right? On the flip side, there's this inspiring tale of a paraplegic who finds joy in life against all odds. It's like they've turned their life into a lemonade stand, squeezing every bit of sweetness out of lemons most of us wouldn't even dare to touch. How does that happen? How do some people stumble upon happiness in the most unexpected places? Ever found yourself wondering why happiness feels like a game of hide and seek? You're not alone. It's like we're all in this giant maze, searching for happiness around every corner, only to find it was hiding in our back pocket the whole time. And here's a little brain teaser. What if I told you that predicting what will make us happy is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded? Yep, we're pretty bad at it. Gilbert's research shows that our brains are like those old-school weather forecasters, often getting it wrong when predicting our emotional weather. So, as we journey deeper into the heart of Stumbling on Happiness, we're going to uncover the secrets behind these paradoxes. We'll share more stories, sprinkle in some science, and maybe even throw in a joke or two because, let's face it, laughter is a shortcut to happiness. Get ready to have your mind blown and your heart warmed, because we're about to discover that true happiness might just be closer than we think. And hey, who knows? By the end of this, you might just stumble upon your own slice of happiness. So, stick around because the adventure is just getting started. Section 1. The Illusion of the Future. Imagine for a moment that you have the ability to see into the future. Not in a mystical sense, but through the power of your own mind. Every day, we engage in a mental exercise called nexting. It's a term coined by psychologist Daniel Gilbert, and it refers to our brain's constant habit of projecting ourselves into the future, simulating events and experiences that haven't happened yet. This process is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it allows us to plan, to dream, and to anticipate. But it's a curse because more often than not, our simulations are inaccurate, leading us to chase after illusions of happiness. Let's start with a personal anecdote. A few years ago, I decided to plan a dream vacation to the Maldives. I spent months researching the perfect resort, imagining the crystal clear waters, the soft white sand, and the feeling of complete relaxation that I was sure would envelop me. I envisioned myself sipping a coconut on the beach, with all my worries melting away. But when the day finally came and I arrived at my paradise, things didn't quite go as planned. The weather was unexpectedly stormy, the resort was overcrowded, and the service was lackluster. The reality was a far cry from the idyllic escape I had envisioned. My brain had created an illusion, a future that didn't match reality, and I was left feeling disappointed. This experience is not unique. Our imaginations have a powerful impact on our predictions of future happiness. We tend to focus on a few salient features of an event and ignore the myriad of other factors that could influence our experience. This is known as the focusing illusion, and it's one of the reasons why we're often poor predictors of what will truly bring us joy. Consider the story of Sarah, a successful lawyer who decided to quit her job to pursue her passion for painting. She had always believed that her true happiness lay in expressing her creativity, and she imagined a life filled with artistic satisfaction and personal fulfillment. However, after a year of struggling as a full-time artist, Sarah found herself more stressed and less happy than ever. It turned out that the stability and intellectual challenge of her legal career had brought her a sense of purpose and satisfaction that she hadn't fully appreciated. In her quest for happiness, Sarah had fallen victim to a common misconception, the belief that a significant life change will automatically lead to greater happiness. These stories highlight a fundamental truth about human psychology. We are not very good at predicting our own future happiness. This phenomenon is partly due to what is known as the planning fallacy. Coined by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, the planning fallacy refers to our tendency to underestimate the time, costs, and risks of future actions while overestimating the benefits. We often assume that everything will go according to plan, ignoring the potential for setbacks and unexpected challenges. Another key factor in our inability to accurately predict future happiness is our tendency to misjudge how we will feel in response to future events. This is known as affective forecasting, and it's a central theme in the research of psychologist Daniel Gilbert. Gilbert's studies have shown that people consistently overestimate the intensity and duration of their emotional reactions to both positive and negative events. For example, we might believe that winning the lottery will bring us endless joy, or that losing a job will lead to prolonged misery. In reality, our emotional responses are often more muted and short-lived than we anticipate. So, why do we struggle so much with predicting our future happiness? One reason is that our brains rely heavily on past experiences and current emotions when simulating future events. We project our present feelings onto future scenarios, assuming that how we feel now is how we'll feel then. This leads to a skewed perception of what will make us happy in the long run. Moreover, our brains are wired to pay more attention to immediate rewards than long-term outcomes. This is known as hyperbolic discounting, where we prioritize short-term gratification over future benefits. It's why we might choose to watch another episode of our favorite TV show instead of going to bed early, even though we know we'll regret it in the morning. To illustrate this point, let's consider an example from Gilbert's research. In one study, participants were asked to predict how they would feel in a year if they failed to achieve a personal goal, such as getting a promotion. Most participants predicted significant and lasting unhappiness. However, when researchers followed up with them a year later, those who hadn't achieved their goal were much happier than they had anticipated. This discrepancy between prediction and reality highlights the inaccuracy of our affective forecasting. So, what can we do to improve our predictions of future happiness? One approach is to cultivate a practice of mindfulness, which involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. By focusing on the here and now, we can reduce our tendency to dwell on imagined futures and instead appreciate the richness of our current experiences. Additionally, seeking out diverse perspectives can help us challenge our assumptions about what will make us happy. Talking to others who have gone through similar experiences or engaging with different cultures and viewpoints can broaden our understanding of happiness and lead to more accurate predictions. In conclusion, the illusion of the future is a powerful force that shapes our decisions and expectations. Our brains are naturally inclined to simulate future events, but these simulations are often inaccurate due to focusing illusions, planning fallacies, and affective forecasting errors. By acknowledging these limitations and adopting practices like mindfulness and perspective-taking, we can begin to navigate the complexities of happiness more effectively. Remember, the future is not a destination to be reached, but a journey to be experienced, with all its unexpected twists and turns. Section 2. The Limits of Imagination. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the threshold of a grand journey, one that promises a future filled with happiness and contentment. You've painted this picture in your mind countless times, envisioning every detail with clarity and hope. But here's the curious thing about imagination. It often falls short, especially when it comes to predicting our emotional responses to future events. This section delves into the intricate dance between our imagination and reality, revealing why our mental projections can lead us astray. Let's begin by exploring the fundamental flaws in our imagination. Picture a couple. Let's call them Linda and Tom. who have spent years dreaming about their life after retirement. They imagine waking up in a cozy beach house, the sound of waves gently crashing against the shore, leisurely walks on the beach, and endless days filled with tranquility and joy. They meticulously plan every detail, from the color of the walls to the scent of the sea breeze. Yet, when they finally retire and settle into their beachside paradise, they find themselves restless and unfulfilled. The dream they had nurtured for so long didn't match the reality. What went wrong here? The answer lies in the limitations of our imagination. One of the key flaws is the role of memory in shaping our future predictions. Our minds tend to rely heavily on past experiences to forecast future emotions. Linda and Tom, for instance, based their expectations on memories of past vacations, which were inherently different from daily life. Vacations are filled with novelty and relaxation, whereas everyday life, even in a beautiful setting, involves routine and responsibility. Our memories often fail to capture the full spectrum of experiences that color our future. Moreover, our current emotions significantly influence how we imagine the future. This is where the concept of the focusing illusion comes into play. Coined by Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman, the focusing illusion refers to our tendency to exaggerate the importance of certain aspects of future events, while ignoring others. When Linda and Tom envisioned their retirement, they focused primarily on the idyllic setting and the absence of work-related stress. However, they overlooked the potential loneliness, the loss of social connections from their careers, and the need for a new sense of purpose. Their present emotions, excitement and anticipation, colored their vision, blinding them to the complexities of real life. To further illustrate these points, let's consider the impact bias, another cognitive trap that affects our predictive abilities. The impact bias refers to our tendency to overestimate the intensity and duration of our emotional reactions to future events. Take, for example, the story of Sarah, who was dreading a major life change. Sarah had been offered a promotion that required her to relocate to a new city. The prospect of leaving her familiar surroundings, friends, and routines filled her with anxiety and fear. She imagined feeling isolated and overwhelmed, unable to adjust to the new environment. However, when the move finally happened, Sarah discovered that her fears were largely unfounded. The new city, with its vibrant culture and welcoming community, offered her opportunities she had never imagined. She made new friends, explored exciting hobbies, and found a sense of fulfillment she hadn't anticipated. The reality of her experience was vastly different from what her imagination had predicted. So, why do we consistently misjudge what will make us happy? One reason is that our imagination often operates in a vacuum, disconnected from the nuanced realities of life. We tend to focus on singular aspects of future events, neglecting the broader context and the adaptability of human emotions. Moreover, our emotions in the present moment heavily bias our future projections, leading us to overemphasize certain elements while discounting others. This misalignment between imagination and reality is not merely a theoretical concern. It has profound implications for our pursuit of happiness. Understanding the limits of our imagination can help us approach future plans with greater humility and flexibility. By acknowledging that our predictions are inherently flawed, we can cultivate a mindset that embraces uncertainty and values resilience. In conclusion, the limits of our imagination reveal a fundamental truth about human nature. We are both bound and liberated by our ability to envision the future. While our mental projections often fall short, they also inspire us to dream, to plan, and to strive for better tomorrows. By recognizing the limitations of our imagination and embracing the unpredictability of life, we can navigate our journey with greater wisdom and, ultimately, find happiness in the most unexpected places. So, the next time you catch yourself daydreaming about the future, remember the stories of Linda, Tom, and Sarah. Embrace the beauty of your imagination while staying grounded in the reality that tomorrow holds surprises that even the most vivid dreams cannot foresee. Section 3. The Power of Comparison. Welcome to Section 3 of our exploration into the intricate landscape of human happiness. Today, we delve into a fascinating aspect that profoundly influences our perception of happiness: the power of comparison. Our journey will reveal how relative comparisons, rather than absolute conditions, shape our feelings of contentment and the implications this has for our pursuit of joy. Let's begin by considering the role of social comparisons in our lives. Imagine two friends, Emma and Sophia. Emma works as a teacher and earns a modest income, while Sophia is a successful lawyer with a salary several times higher. You might assume that Sophia, with her higher income, would be happier. However, both women report similar levels of happiness. This surprising outcome is a common phenomenon, and it highlights how our comparisons with others impact our happiness more than our absolute circumstances. The story of Emma and Sophia illustrates a crucial point. Our happiness is often a result of comparing ourselves to those around us. We evaluate our achievements, possessions, and experiences relative to others, rather than in isolation. This idea is supported by extensive research in psychology. For instance, social psychologists have found that people tend to feel happier when they compare themselves to those who are less fortunate, a concept known as downward comparison. Conversely, comparing ourselves to those who seem better off, or upward comparison, can lead to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. This brings us to the influence of context on happiness. Consider the anecdote of Alex, who moved from a small town to a bustling city. Initially, Alex was thrilled with the move, excited about the opportunities and experiences the city offered. However, as time passed, Alex began to feel less satisfied. The cost of living was higher, and keeping up with the lifestyles of new city friends became challenging. Alex's happiness was not solely determined by the move itself, but by how it compared to previous experiences and the new social context. This anecdote underscores the concept of hedonic adaptation, which refers to our tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness after major life events. Whether we win the lottery or face a significant setback, our happiness levels tend to stabilize over time. This adaptation is partly due to the shifting context of our lives and the new comparisons we make. A famous example that illustrates these ideas is the Easterlin paradox. Named after economist Richard Easterlin, this paradox suggests that while income and happiness are positively correlated within a country at a given time, increases in income over time do not necessarily lead to increased happiness. This paradox points to the importance of relative comparisons. As a society's wealth grows, people's expectations and comparisons also rise, which can negate the happiness gains from increased income. Further research on lottery winners and accident victims provides compelling evidence of how adaptation and comparison affect happiness. Studies have shown that, after the initial euphoria of winning the lottery, winners often return to their previous levels of happiness. Similarly, individuals who experience severe accidents and disabilities may initially feel devastated, but many eventually adapt and report happiness levels similar to those before the accident. These findings emphasize that our happiness is not solely determined by external circumstances, but by how we perceive and compare our situation to others and our past experiences. In conclusion, the power of comparison is a potent force in shaping our happiness. Whether through social comparisons, the influence of context, or the process of hedonic adaptation, our perception of happiness is deeply intertwined with how we measure ourselves against others and our own past. As we continue our pursuit of happiness, it becomes crucial to recognize the impact of these comparisons and strive for a balance that allows us to appreciate our unique journeys without constant comparison. By understanding and embracing the power of comparison, we can navigate our paths to happiness with greater awareness and perhaps find contentment in the simple fact that happiness is not a destination but a journey, shaped by our unique experiences and perspectives. Thank you for joining us in this exploration, and we look forward to continuing this journey together in the next section. Section 4. The elusive nature of control. Welcome back to our journey through the complexities of human behavior and happiness. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches the core of our daily lives: the illusion of control. This section, titled The Elusive Nature of Control, explores how our beliefs about control can shape our happiness and why sometimes letting go might be the key to finding peace. Let's begin with a story. Imagine a person, we'll call her Sarah, who is a meticulous planner. Every aspect of her life is charted out in her color-coded calendars and detailed to-do lists. Sarah believes that by controlling every variable, she can achieve her goals and find happiness. However, life, as it often does, threw her a curveball. Her company underwent a major restructuring, and despite her best efforts, she found herself in a new role that was less than ideal. Initially, Sarah was devastated. Her sense of control was shattered, and with it, her happiness seemed to slip through her fingers. Now, let's pause here for a moment and consider what Sarah's story illustrates. The illusion of control. We often believe that we have more control over our lives than we actually do. This illusion isn't just a personal quirk, it's a psychological phenomenon. Researchers have shown that our brains are wired to seek control as a way to reduce anxiety and increase our sense of security. However, this quest for control can sometimes lead us down a path where we're constantly stressed, trying to manage every little detail. The relationship between control and happiness is not as straightforward as we might think. While having some control can indeed lead to a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction, too much focus on control can be counterproductive. It's a bit like trying to hold sand tightly in your fist. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips away. Let's return to Sarah. After weeks of frustration, she decided to take a different approach. Instead of trying to force her situation back into her carefully crafted plan, she decided to let go a little. She started exploring her new role with curiosity rather than resistance. To her surprise, this shift in mindset opened doors she hadn't noticed before. She discovered aspects of her job that she enjoyed and opportunities to grow in ways she hadn't anticipated. Sarah's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the best way to regain a sense of control is to relinquish it. This brings us to the benefits of embracing uncertainty. Life is inherently unpredictable, and trying to control every outcome is not only exhausting but also unrealistic. Embracing uncertainty allows us to be more adaptable and open to new experiences. It encourages us to live in the present moment rather than constantly fretting about the future. This doesn't mean we should abandon all planning or forethought, but rather, we should balance our desire for control with an acceptance of life's unpredictability. Consider the paradox of choice, a concept explored by psychologist Barry Schwartz. While having choices is generally seen as a positive aspect of freedom, too many options can lead to decision paralysis and dissatisfaction. Schwartz argues that the abundance of choices in modern life can make us feel more anxious and less happy because we fear making the wrong decision. This is another facet of the illusion of control, believing that if we just choose the right option, we can guarantee a positive outcome. In reality, the pursuit of the perfect choice often leaves us feeling overwhelmed and less content. So how do we find happiness in a world where control is often an illusion? One approach is to cultivate a mindset of acceptance and flexibility. Instead of viewing unexpected events as obstacles, we can see them as opportunities for growth and learning. This shift in perspective can transform our experiences and lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment. Let me share another story with you. This one about a man named Alex. Alex was an avid traveler who loved planning every detail of his trips. However, during a solo journey to a remote village, his plans went awry when a storm delayed his transportation. Stranded in a small town he hadn't planned to visit, Alex initially felt frustrated and anxious. But as he wandered the streets, he stumbled upon a local festival that was in full swing. The vibrant colors, the music, and the warmth of the people captivated him. In that moment, Alex realized the joy of unexpected discoveries. By letting go of his rigid plans, he found happiness in a place he never intended to visit. Alex's story and Sarah's experience both highlight the beauty of embracing uncertainty and the unexpected. They remind us that while control can offer comfort, it's often in the moments when we let go that we find true happiness. As we wrap up this section, let's reflect on the insights we've gained. The illusion of control is a powerful force that shapes our perceptions and actions. However, by recognizing its limitations and learning to embrace uncertainty, we can find a deeper and more resilient form of happiness. The next time you find yourself clinging tightly to control, remember Sarah and Alex. Consider the possibility that letting go might just be the path to the peace and happiness you seek. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of the elusive nature of control. Until next time, Take a moment to reflect on where you might loosen your grip and allow life to surprise you. Section 5. The Science of Synthetic Happiness. Welcome to Section 5 of our exploration into the fascinating world of human happiness. In this section, we're diving deep into a concept that might sound like a contradiction in terms: synthetic happiness. What is synthetic happiness, and how does it reveal the resilience of the human spirit? Let's embark on this journey together and uncover the surprising ways our minds manufacture happiness, even when life doesn't quite go according to plan. Imagine for a moment you're at a crossroads. You have two paths before you. One leads to what you've always wanted, and the other leads to an uncertain future, possibly filled with challenges. Conventional wisdom might tell us that happiness lies along the first path. But what if I told you that happiness isn't just found in getting what we want, but in how we perceive and adapt to the circumstances we're given? This is the essence of synthetic happiness. Synthetic happiness is a term coined by psychologist Dan Gilbert. It refers to the happiness we create when we don't get what we want. It's our brain's remarkable ability to adapt to new situations and find joy in them. This isn't about settling or lowering our expectations. It's about the resilience and flexibility of the human spirit to find contentment in unexpected places. Let's explore this through a story. Meet Sarah, a passionate dancer who had dreams of performing on grand stages around the world. Her life was a rhythmic dance of auditions, rehearsals, and performances. But one day, a life-changing injury shattered her dreams. Sarah found herself unable to dance as she once did. It was a devastating blow, yet it was here, in the midst of adversity, that she discovered synthetic happiness. Initially, Sarah was engulfed in despair. Dancing had been her identity, her passion, her life. But slowly, she began to adapt. She started teaching dance to children, sharing her love for movement and expression. In this new role, she found a different kind of joy, one that was deeply fulfilling and unexpectedly rewarding. Sarah's story illustrates how our minds can reframe a situation, turning a perceived loss into an opportunity for growth and happiness. This ability to adapt and create happiness is rooted in our brain's natural processes. Our minds have a remarkable capacity to adjust to new circumstances, a phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation. This process allows us to find happiness in the most unexpected places, even when life takes an unexpected turn. Dan Gilbert's experiments shed light on this phenomenon. In one study, participants were asked to choose between two photographs which they could keep. However, they were told that if they chose one, they could change their mind later, but if they chose the other, their decision was final. Surprisingly, those who had to stick with their choice reported being happier with their photograph in the long run. This illustrates how our brains can create happiness, even when our choices are limited. The role of mindset is crucial in this process. Perception of events can greatly influence our happiness. When we view challenges as opportunities for growth, we open ourselves to the possibility of synthetic happiness. This mindset shift allows us to find joy and meaning in the midst of adversity. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, whose relentless pursuit of inventing the light bulb faced countless failures. Instead of viewing these failures as setbacks, Edison saw them as necessary steps towards success. Each failure brought him closer to his goal, and he found happiness and fulfillment in the process of discovery and innovation. Similarly, there are numerous case studies of individuals who have thrived despite adversity. People who have faced illnesses, loss, or other significant challenges often report finding a deeper sense of happiness and appreciation for life. This is synthetic happiness in action, the ability to create joy in circumstances that might seem devoid of it. As we reflect on the science of synthetic happiness, we're reminded of the incredible resilience of the human spirit. Our capacity to adapt, find joy, and grow, even when life doesn't go as planned, is a testament to the strength and flexibility of our minds. Synthetic happiness teaches us that happiness isn't just about getting what we want, but about how we navigate the journey, embracing the unexpected twists and turns along the way. In closing, let's carry with us the understanding that happiness is not solely dependent on external circumstances. It's a choice we make, a mindset we adopt, and a journey we embark upon. As we continue to explore the vast landscape of human happiness, may we find inspiration in the stories of resilience and the science of synthetic happiness, discovering joy in the most unexpected places. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of synthetic happiness. Until next time, may you find happiness in every moment, whether it's planned or beautifully unexpected. As we wrap up our deep dive into stumbling on happiness, let's take a moment to reflect on the treasure trove of insights we've uncovered together. It's been quite the journey, right? So what have we learned? Daniel Gilbert has shown us that our minds are like quirky little time machines, always trying to predict what will make us happy in the future. But here's the kicker. We're not always great at it. We often stumble upon happiness in the most unexpected places, not where we think we'll find it. One of the coolest insights is that our imagination can sometimes lead us astray. We overestimate how certain events will impact us. Remember that time you thought you'd be devastated if you didn't get that promotion, but then life had other plans? And somehow you ended up finding joy in a totally different path? Now, how can we use these insights to transform our approach to finding happiness? It's all about embracing life's unpredictability with open arms. Let's practice being more present, more curious, and more adaptable. Instead of chasing a rigid idea of happiness, let's explore, experiment, and enjoy the ride. Speaking of exploring, I want to share a little personal story with you. There was a time when I was so fixated on achieving a specific goal, thinking it was the key to my happiness. But then, inspired by Gilbert's wisdom, I decided to take a detour. I started a small garden in my backyard, something I never thought would bring me joy. But guess what? Digging in the dirt, watching things grow, and simply being present in those moments filled me with an unexpected sense of peace and happiness. And it's not just me. There's this incredible story about a woman named Maria. She was a corporate lawyer, stressed and overwhelmed, thinking a bigger paycheck would solve everything. Then, she stumbled upon Gilbert's book, and it changed her life. Maria decided to volunteer at a local animal shelter, something she'd always wanted to do but never made time for. The joy she found in helping those animals and connecting with other volunteers was priceless. She didn't just stumble on happiness. She embraced it with open arms. So what's the takeaway here? Gilbert's findings remind us to be brave enough to venture off the beaten path. Real happiness often lies in the simple, unexpected moments of life. It's about savoring those little victories, cherishing the connections we make, and staying open to new experiences. As we close this chapter, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Try something new this week. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's trying a new recipe, picking up a hobby you've always been curious about, or just taking a different route on your walk. Embrace the unknown and see where it takes you. Remember, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. But isn't that what makes the journey so exciting? Let's keep exploring, keep stumbling, and keep finding happiness in the most unexpected places. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. Until next time, keep smiling, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep stumbling on happiness. Take care, everyone.